This video is a prototype that I'm trying to see if the concept I have will work. And the concept is I need a strong magnet to keep these drawers closed without having to try and mount them under here, which there really is no place to do it. So I tried a magnet like this, but by the time I mount it here, this closes and takes up all that space where you can mount it. So you really can't mount this up here. There's no simple way to mount it anywhere. And I'd have to put in a block behind here and try to mount it so that it would attach like this to its contact. That seemed to be too much work to me, so I wanted a simpler solution. So instead I decided to do the countersink magnet on the bottom back of the drawer down here and its contact over here, so that when the drawer closes, the magnets latch and I don't see it. I can't see anything when the drawer's open. No washers or anything here. So for this prototype project, these are the tools I needed. I needed a drill with a small Phillips head. I needed a countersink magnet. This is the magnet. This is the washer that sticks to the magnet. 2 screws that come with it. This is a 5/64 drill bit, which is the diameter of these screws inside the threads. I used the chisel. I used a small screwdriver to help do the scoring. So the first thing I did was score the circle into which I needed to dig out the wood to countersink the magnet. So I used this drill bit to do the scoring with those little outer teeth. Once I had a little bit of scoring in my circle drawn, I used this chisel and occasionally had to use this little screwdriver to chisel out the wood. That took me about 5 minutes, so it wasn't terrible. And then I was ready to countersink the magnet, screw it in. Then I had to mount the metal washer, screw it in, and the job was done. So some of the challenges we have in this trailer is that I've had to replace the slide rails on this drawer because they popped out in travel and the rails broke and the ball bearings all came rolling out. And this one, same thing. And I replaced the rails in this one and they broke again. So I'm like, okay, I've had enough. I need to find a way to put some magnet latches inside of this door frame somehow to keep that thing closed in transit. So right now, a child-proof lock is holding it from sliding open all the time, but it still pops in and out here. But before I conquer the big boy, I'm going to use this drawer as a prototype. This one actually doesn't pop open very often, but this one pops open pretty easily, so it also has a child-proof catch on it. But I'm going to start with this one and see if my flush mount magnet concept works. And what that's going to be is taking this neodymium magnet with a countersunk head and mounting it into the back side of the drawer. So I'm going to have to drill out a hole or chisel out a hole so this will flush mount to the back of this door. And then on the cabinet side, there will be a magnetic catch, which also has a countersunk head that will grab the magnet and keep the door closed. So let's find out if this concept works and let's get to it. So these prototype concepts I've done in the past, and what I like to call these videos is this one I'm going to call how to install countersunk latching magnets for your RV drawers and doors without all the right tools. Alright, as many RVers know, occasionally you can have problems with doors that want to slide open while you're traveling, but I've been struggling to find a solution for my other doors that do come open. So I'm going to do a test on this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to install a surface mounted metal disc here, a little black one. I chose to do it on the bottom so that you can't see it. And then on the other side here, I'm going to countersink over here. Sorry, I can't see my finger. There we go. I'm going to countersink over here the magnet. It's about 1/4 of an inch thick. And so I want it to be flush. And then this will have like about 1/8 of an inch black metal washer screwed in here. And there's about 1/8 of an inch gap with these little felt pads that keep it off the wood. And so that should allow me to put a neodymium magnet in slide the drawer closed, and they'll engage each other here when the door's all the way closed, and just give it a little extra holding power to make sure that it doesn't come out. So I scored a little mark on the wood right there to kind of show me how much clearance I have, and in between that little mark on the left there and the right of the drawer, I'm going to drill out and countersink a hole that I can drop the magnet in. So after countersinking, the magnet will be about that far into the wood, which should leave me just enough to screw the little screw in and secure the magnet in the countersunk hole. So using my bit, I started to score the hole I'm going to drill, and I'm going to countersink that now, and then we'll see if I got enough to make it work. All right, so the concept's already suffered its first setback because this drill bit with that deep tip will drill a hole right through the front of the drawer. So I've only created a scoring, and now I'm going to see what it might take to chisel it out by hand to prove the concept. Then if it works out, I'll have to go find a drill bit with a flat tip. All right, so I just did a little pilot hole and used my little mini chisel to kind of shape it and get that thing laying in there flat. And so it's not how I want to do it for all my drawers, but this is a perfect prototype. So I'm going to see if we got enough depth for the screw. So this screw as it is a little, that's going to create problems. All right, so I took some metal snips. I cut the tip off that screw. I'm going to use this drill bit, which looks like it's just the inside diameter of the screw itself. So this should be perfect to drill a pilot hole so that it won't overexpand or break the wood because the tip's missing. So this is more or less the depth of the screw after I snipped it off a little bit. Okay, so I'll drill the little pilot right in the middle of the countersink here. That should be enough. So if you look close, you can see that the magnet has a countersunk head. So when I zap that screw in, it will be flush with the top of that magnet. All right, we're nice and flush there, and no damage on the other side. All right, so I temporarily slid the drawer back in because I'm going to need to figure out exactly where down below I'm going to need to install the little magnet metal plate. All right, so I placed my little drill bit on the center of the magnet, and I'm going to press it up in place right here, and then I'm going to take the drawer out. And that gives me the approximate center of the magnet. And I created a little mark here that shows me the center of the magnet. So I'll be installing the magnet plate right about there. I'll drill another pilot hole for the screw so we don't crack the wood. All right, let's give it a try and see if the concept works. All right, the drawer's back in. We slide it, and it is. I'm pulling on it with that finger. You can see it moving over here. It's not opening. This one, it opens with barely to the touch, which is why it has this child-proof lock on it for the moment. This one, it takes a little effort to get it open. So I would say our magnet concept works, and I'm not having to try and put it up here where you're going to see the little black magnet plate. It's down here, and the magnet itself right here. So I would say we have a successful solution. So in part 2, I'm going to go and buy the tools I need to drill those countersunk magnet holes a little more efficiently so I don't have to chisel them out. This is took me about 15 minutes to do this by hand, so hopefully I can reduce that down to about 5. This is the one, I may have to put 2 magnets in, but this is the one that prompted this entire project. So see you over at part 2.